Uh-oh. You made a mistake. Welcome to Trademark Real History Lesson with Sneaky Malik. We'll start with the last thing first. That's completely irrelevant. Alexander's age is unimportant to what I said. You're also wrong. It is true, Alexander won the Battle of Gaugamela at the age of 25. However, it is not until the following year in which Alexander fully subdued the Achaemenid Persian Empire. Number 26. The general age of the population is completely irrelevant. There were a bunch of people that lived to be 60, 70, or older. Just the average wasn't that, which is why the particular people that I mentioned are even that much more exceptional. Your quote-unquote Hellenic or even earlier Greek-style hoplite warfare, it wasn't about how strong you were or any of that sort of shit, which is why you had a lot of very elderly, what we would consider people, fighting in both the Greek style and the Hellenic phalanx. Especially the people that I was talking about, the Argyraspides, or Silver Shields. As you know, Mr. Smart Guy, it was Philip II who would found the army that Alexander would go on to conquer most of the known world with. He would also set up the plans for the invasion of the Achaemenid Empire, and he would also conquer Greece. But, you know, some of the Diadochi had even served with not only Philip II, but the king before him and the king before him. Not that they lasted that much longer. Neither of them, I think, neither of them reigned more than 5 years. But those men that had served with Philip, the king before Philip, perhaps the king before Philip, some of them maybe even the king before Philip, were the men that would go on to become the Argyraspides or the Silver Shields. The Argyraspides came from the Hypaspis. These guys, who were like the elite of the Macedonian army. Or there's some tension as to whether or not in Philip's, like before Philip's time, it was a Macedonian army, but it was at least these guys that have been fighting for generations of Alexander's family by the time Alexander was born didn't even get their silver shields. These are some of the former kings. Like immediately before Philip radically changes Macedon. During both of their reigns, you have multiple of the Diadochi, like that would go on to be the Diadochi. They are fighting in like the 390s, maybe before, but definitely during the reign of Antigonus. It was 81, by the way. Armenian, 70. All these people were definitely alive. Parmenion was a senior figure under Philip, which means he definitely served under the people before him. As it says up here, he was 40 by the time of Chaeronea, which means he was alive before Chaeronea, says 382. He was a male in Macedon. He fought. Yeah, this is just, but I have done the research, but I'm not gonna do the whole sourcing thing right now. If you really want, I'll make a YouTube video about it. But as it says here in this little grok summary, the men who would later become the Silver Shields, they definitely did, fought under Philip II in his reformed army. And if they fought in his reformed army, they fought before. Because he reformed that army from the basically militia. They had the phalanx, who was fought more in the Greek style at that time. And they had like a much more barbarized core around it. And then Philip would take that phalanx, professionalize it, and professionalize the entire military. The entire military that he professionalized were people that had been fighting long before he was even alive. Nice try though, bud. This is Trademark Real History Lesson with Sneaky Malik.